Hello and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Shruti Mishra. These are the top headlines from the startup space. Bollywood actor and wellness enthusiast Zareen Khan introduces Happy Hippie, a clean, conscious and easy-to-use skincare and hair care line created for those who seek simplicity without compromising on results. The products are gender-neutral, cruelty-free and made without harmful chemicals. Ranveer Singh back Super U goes pro. At the heart of Super U Pro is biofermentation tech, now available in India. This technology makes the protein powders 100% vegan, gut-friendly and engineered for smoother absorption and superior digestibility. BizDateUp acquires 7.14% equity stake in RBH Solutions, a Tier 2-based industrial automation and smart grid innovator. Funds will be used to expand RBH SaaS product suite, complete its distribution management system and build a global partner network. AI healthcare content creation platform Hameta expands services to UAE and US. To fund this global expansion, the company is also raising $2 million in its pre-seed funding round. Grass.ai bags $9 million in a pre-Series B round for agentic growth. The round was led by Tinman Capital with participation from Incred Wealth, Orzon and existing investors. Funds will support the launch of Agent Foundry to help e-commerce brands automate everyday tasks via agents. Well, those were the headlines we've been tracking for you this evening. On What's Brewing today, Pune-based SuperGaming has raised $15 million in Series B funding, taking its valuation to $100 million. Backed by global gaming giants like Bandai Namco, top VCs including Steadview Capital, and Web3 leaders such as Polygon Ventures, the studio is best known for its hit Indo-futuristic title, Indus Battle Royale. With over 200 billion installs across its portfolio and a powerful in-house tech stack, SuperGaming is now eyeing global markets and a bigger play in Web3. Joining us now to talk about the future roadmap at SuperGaming is its founder and CEO, Robbie John. Robbie, welcome to Startup Street. $100 million valuation and $15 million in fresh capital, with backing from gaming giants, Web3 players and returning investors. Robbie, first tell us, how will you deploy this capital? I understand global expansion, scaling development capabilities and hiring top-tier talent are key priorities. If you could elaborate.
Sure. Shruti, thanks for having us. Our round is about scale. A Series B is about scale. We've kind of built our games. We are now kind of taking them global, first to Latin America, where we see a large similar market to India, but growing and very, very passionate about video games. Then kind of taking our growth to the Middle East, which is probably the worst represented from a video games perspective. That's really a large market that we're serving. But more importantly, what this large round is going to allow us to do is to scale our development capabilities. We're already 150 people, but going to support taking our game global is really one large investment. And finally, talent, game design, engineering, scale, publishing, building this hyper-local publishing piece for our company is really what we're kind of focusing on.
All right. Robbie, with titles like Indus Battle Royale, you've got Mask Gun, Silly Royale and Battle Stars under your belt. Tell us, what's your strategy for balancing global appeal with hyper-local content? And if you could give us a sense of your current growth numbers, what kind of revenues are you clocking?
Sure. Our approach is global, but hyper-local always. We think that people who play on mobile devices really value that localization, bringing in that local flavor. That's kind of something that we brought in across all of our games. That's really the reason for our organic growth in these markets. $200 million without any kind of marketing, 200 million users without any kind of marketing spend is really something that we feel very good about. What our games have done is to really kind of tap into what we call the Indo-futuristic vibe that we've done with India, very inspired by what the movie Black Panther did with Afro-futurism. We're doing the same now with Latino futurism, Arab futurism, and that's really something that we kind of see as scale. From a numbers perspective, we obviously crossed 200 million users across our other titles. Indus is close to 10 million users. We're at a $5-7 million run rate, but we're seeing a 50% year-on-year growth across our games.
Okay, now all the games that you and I mentioned are built on your in-house super platform. You call it your most strategic asset. Tell us, how is it a game changer for developers in emerging markets, and how AI-assisted tools, monetization systems and social features built into super platform give you an edge over other back-end game tech providers?
So essentially, what we've kind of realized is that you need a competitive advantage over other people. Super Platform is that advantage. It's built over 10 years. It's an engine which kind of captures all of our understanding. It's built in partnership with Google Cloud. It's something that powers some of the biggest games in the world, including Bandai Namco's Pac-Man. Today, with AI-assisted tools, what we're kind of doing is whether it's game balance, monetization, live ops, analytics, all powered by our AI engine, kind of helping us scale monetization, social features. What's the most important thing in emerging markets is really how do you optimize the game, both from a
Sure.
graphics and from a network perspective. Our AI engineering now is kind of allowing us to optimize this at a much larger scale, seeing what the device is and optimizing it on the fly so that we can run global quality games, but on local hardware. That's something
All right.
we kind of see as the biggest advantage of Super Platform.
All right, and that's going to help you grow globally as well. You've been early movers in Web3 gaming, experimenting with titles like Tower Conquest, Metaverse Edition, and now integrating B3 Game Chain. What's the larger vision here, and how do you see Web3 fitting into mainstream gaming?
Sure. What we're seeing is this large explosion in Web3, not being called Web3, not being called crypto, not being called blockchain, but essentially being called on-chain. Similar to what you kind of see as the 90s where we went online. That's really something where on-chain is hidden from everybody from a perspective, where true digital ownership can be provided to users without them even kind of having to go through all those loops. With all of Web3 kind of getting regulatory clearance, we kind of see this as a large opportunity in the coming year. Think of it as every good gaming company is 3 layers: the engine, the content, which is really your games, and finally the marketplace. Today, we see Web3 really powering that marketplace. In Pune, or if you're in from Maharashtra, we'll say it's the Satbara of our universe, like an RTO of our universe, which kind of tells you who owns what and can be
Okay.
anytime, anywhere.
All right. You've said India is moving from being just a gaming consumer to a driver of innovation. So tell us, what will it take for an Indian studio to truly become a global leader? Also, before we wrap up, tell us what's the next big leap for super gaming?
I think, everybody is kind of looking forward to what is called in China the Black Myth Wukong moment, the RRR moment. We saw Indian cinema kind of take its forefront worldwide. We want to see that in games as well. At Super Gaming, we're putting our head down to kind of focus on this opportunity. We're at David taking on Goliaths. Most of the great games that you kind of hear about are made in China. We want to kind of build that created in India brand and take it to all parts of the world and realize that AAA quality that people are looking for. It's a long journey, but it's something that we've kind of committed and kept our heads down on. Building that identity for all of our players where people can feel proud of a made in India game that they're playing is really something that we kind of truly care about. That we've kind of changed our economy from being a consumer economy to a creator economy.
Okay, well, on that note, it's time for me to wrap up our conversation. Many thanks, Robbie, for joining us on Startup Street, and wish you the very best for all your aggressive growth plans.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you so much.
Moving on to our Investor Eye segment, Kettleborough VC is ramping up its bet on India's next wave of founder-led businesses. It has launched its second fund with a target corpus of 80 crore rupees, already locking in 35 crore rupees at first close. Fund 2 will deploy early-stage checks of $300,000 to $500,000 in about 10 high-conviction bets with extra capital reserved for follow-ons. Known for its last-straw founder strategy, backing entrepreneurs with over a decade of domain expertise, Kettleborough has already seen Fund 1 nearly double in just 3 years. The firm says it will continue to focus on capital-efficient, execution-first businesses across financial services, full-stack commerce and SaaS. Joining me now is Nisarg Shah, the founder of Kettleborough VC. Nisarg, welcome to Startup Street. The Fund 2 follows your last-straw founder thesis. First, tell us what this means, and then what's driving your conviction that this concentrated founder market fit approach works in India's current startup climate.
Thanks, Shruti, firstly, for having me. Adding up on what you mentioned about last row philosophy, we believe that India is a very unique and a different market from what China is or what US is or Europe is. And the playbook for India needs to be very much India-driven. We believe in business first, a revenue model first strategy. What it means is that we want to build businesses which are going to be existent a decade down the line. And we believe that for building this kind of businesses, which are not going to have existential crises at any point of time, they need to be built by people who have seen businesses, who have seen cycles of businesses. For good long amount of time, near at least a decade, preferably 2 decades or
Sure.
more. So that's what it means, that think of a founding team, think of a entrepreneur who has spent a good 10, 15, 20 years in a particular domain, building
Sure.
up on its expertise and refining on that. And now they are just accumulating all of that experience into the last gig of their professional career. That's what we call as last straw moment, wherein they want to build it for legacies, for
All
business.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, now, like I mentioned earlier, you've hit 35 crore rupees in the first close. What's the timeline for getting to the 80 crore rupee target? And are you seeing more interest from domestic LPs or overseas backers? Also, you plan to invest in just about 10 companies from Fund 2. What gives you the confidence to keep the portfolio so concentrated in a market where most VCs spread their bets wider?
So, as you rightly mentioned, it's a very concentrated portfolio, and that comes from the fact that it's a very high conviction strategy and bets that we make, and consequently we are able to do that because we exactly know the kind of plays that we are about to make. We are not an investor who is praying and praying and investing in some things which may not work. This is a very thought through strategy driven play that we do, which allows us to take very high conviction bet. Our margin of error, we don't really need that a lot. Our companies don't really die a lot. While we are a seed stage investor, our mindset is very much like how a private equity guy would think about. We want to make money out of every money. So that's on the
Okay.
strategy and concentrated part. Regarding the closing, we anticipate closing on the full fundraise by the end of this year. We are having good momentum on it. We have added
Okay.
some more capital beyond the first close, and I think we will reach our target by in the next couple of months. That's regarding the investor base that you mentioned, this is majorly individuals, HNIs, family offices, some from India, some from Western geographies as well.
All right, picking up from what you just said, you're sector agnostic but have a tilt towards Dhanda first businesses. Which sectors do you think will dominate your deal flow over the next 18 months?
We have realized retrospectively, looking at what we have done and what we like, there are majorly three bucketings where things fall into. Financial services, we are very strong in that. So think of NBFC companies, insurance companies, fintech infrastructure companies. That's a strong area for us. Second is full stack commerce, wherein we like to include consumer brands or retail plays necessarily. The point being wherein you have the full ownership on the customer as well as the vendor, and it's all delivered by yourself. And then lastly, the software plays, wherein we are seeing a lot of verticalized solutions, platform plays, agentic AI, which has been very active over the last couple of quarters because of the advent in the technologies. Majorly, these are the three sectors, three categories where we think majority of our money will go into.
All right, one final question. You expect the first set of exits soon. Given today's market, are you looking more at strategic M&A, secondary sales, or waiting for IPO windows to open?
Sure. So I think it's more driven on how the internal financial engineering works, in the sense of how much money per company we have. On the when the target is to go really long, we wait upon for near IPO, pre-IPO stages, wherein it is secondary sales, institutional sales, and whenever it is more about churning on the capital, again it's a little bit of earlier exit. But we have realized that it's a mix of either M&A full exits, or it's majorly sales to secondary new institutional investors.
All right, on that note, it's time for me to wrap up this conversation. Many thanks, Nisarg, for joining us on Startup Street, and wish you the very best with your fund too.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
On that note, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up, Make My Trip is betting on Gen AI to change the way you plan and book your holidays. A special conversation on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Startup Street. Make My Trip is betting on Gen AI to change the way you plan and book your holidays. The online travel company has rolled out a new multilingual voice-enabled trip planning assistant, promising to take you from one destination ideas to confirm bookings in a single conversation. The move comes alongside a big global push and a multi-billion-dollar share buyback. Aishwarya Anand brings you this special report from the launch. Take a look.
What if planning your next vacation was as simple as chatting with a friend? And what if that friend understood multiple languages, could tell you real-time prices in Indian rupees, and could take you from where should I go to booking confirmed, all without ever leaving the conversation? Well, that's exactly what Make My Trip is promising with its brand new avatar of Gen AI-powered trip assistant, Myra. It's voice-enabled, multilingual, and is supported by a complex web of AI agents who are working in the background to simplify the travel journey, from inspiration, itinerary to in-trip support.
One of the problems that we were trying to solve, which was not solved with the, let's say, erstwhile interface that we had, was to have a fully integrated trip planning. Right now, we are doing it in Hindi and English. We want to bring in more regional languages as well. I believe that this will be able to penetrate into Deep Bharat.
Launched in beta, Myra has already been used by over 10,000 people. The company is gathering feedback to make conversations more relevant and personalized.
I think we've seen users of all types right now. We've seen some new users, we've seen some repeat users coming in and giving us very, very valuable feedback. Whether it is, sometimes it could be, I've given a particular context and I didn't hear the same kind of response because I was changing the context multiple times, and that is all about sort of collecting all the insights to meet the expectation eventually.
It's also built on multi-agent framework. Yeah. So help me understand how much of the tech was built in-house and, what kind of investment has gone into it?
Sure. All the e-commerce companies in India would be leveraging, the foundational models that have already been built. So the LLMs and and what we end up doing is customizing, because we also have a lot of content. So we will do the customization bit in-house, and rest of all the development, whether it is the user interface, the design part of it, or making sure that we stitch together the integration part of it. And that is where agentic framework was very, very helpful.
Make My Trip has also launched a global tours and attractions platform with over 2 lakh activities in 1,100 cities across 130 countries, all priced in Indian rupees. Soon, Myra will be able to generate itineraries, show content, and let users book flights, hotels, and tours directly in one conversation. In the first quarter of FY26, you've shown a solid 22.6% year-on-year rise in your net profit, despite travel disruptions that we've seen. So what's driving this kind of resilience? What segments are driving this kind of growth for you?
It was a tough quarter because it was disruption, because, the many events happened back to back, unfortunately. Over the last several quarters and years, we've been declaring and delivering consistent performance, not necessarily on top line, but also the bottom line, right? You're able to have tighter grip on the P&L, because even during the tough quarter, if you will, right? So it's all about operating rhythm, and that's what played out.
The company has also raised over $2.6 billion through equity and convertible notes to repurchase a stake from Trip.com Group.
It was a pure sort of financial restructuring transaction for us. And there was a market opportunity, there was liquidity in the market, and we just encashed that opportunity. And that's about it, right? So, hopefully it just be very good for the organization going forward.
From AI-led trip planning in Hindi to booking Tokyo attractions in rupees, and from global expansion to strategic financial moves, Make My Trip is betting on technology and scale to shape the future of Indian travel. For now, AI's biggest impact is on productivity gains, especially in customer service. With camera person Lakshman Singh, Aishwarya Anand in New Delhi.
Also on our checking in segment, SAP Labs bets big on India with a €194 million innovation campus in Bengaluru, even as much of the tech industry turns cautious. Sindhu Gangadharan, Managing Director of SAP Labs India, told CNBC-TV18 the move aims to underscore India's role as a core driver of SAP's global product strategy. She said the future workforce must combine strong problem-solving abilities with adaptability as technologies evolve at breakneck speed. Beyond core technical know-how, learnability and design thinking will be key to staying relevant in an AI-driven economy. Take a look.
First of all, great to be talking to CNBC today, and especially on this milestone of a day for us. Inauguration of our brand new SAP Labs India Innovation Park here. And I think this is an absolute testimony to our belief in what India represents, be it talent, be it the kind of transformation, be it the belief in terms of how we have evolved over the last 27 years of our presence here in India, right? And today for us, India is not just one of our fastest growing market regions, it's also the country where you have the full breadth of our product portfolio in one location. And if you ask me, Meghna, this becomes a very unique combination, also in the way we build our innovations, but also in the way we take these innovations to our customers, co-create solutions for them. So this innovation campus that you're seeing here is, again, that belief system that we have had in India and continues to have in India. So this is a, €194 million investment that you see here, and which is an absolute clarity in terms of our strategy of the fact that we want to continue to see this location and benefit and also give back to this location.
At a time when tech firms are turning cautious, what's the strategic thinking behind SAP's new 15,000 campus in Bangalore?
Yeah, I think as a product company, Meghna, and if I just put some numbers out there, today 87% of the world's business transactions touches an SAP system, right? 99 out of the top 100 companies in the world are SAP's customers, right? 97 of the top 100 green companies in the world run on SAP. Or if I take the India context, 8 out of 10 cars on Indian roads are manufactured by SAP's customers. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when you're talking about core business processes, right? When you look at any process, be it in your core financials, core supply chain, core manufacturing, core of sourcing, procurement, these are core business processes that in today's world where things are changing at this pace with all the geopolitical aspects that's going on around us, every business needs to be on top of. And this is where SAP helps them give that visibility, give that transparency, get that intelligence into their business, take those actions at the right time, make those pivots at the right time. Because every customer needs that visibility in order for them to stay successful. And this is where SAP helps them, right?
How many roles is SAP planning to add in India over the next 2 to 3 years? And what are the skill sets that you will prioritize?
I think, skill sets, when we talk about skill sets, especially in these times, right? Technologies are changing at such a pace. So at the core of it, I think learnability is a very important skill, right? And also thinking of aspects like problem solving. How do you approach a problem, right? Aspects like design thinking. These are aspects which for us, we play a huge emphasis on. Of course, we have various programs where we collaborate with some of the leading universities here in India, but also across the world, to really make sure that our talent is always on top of the latest and greatest. Because and when you're talking about talent being on the latest and greatest, is also about not just about learning about technologies, but also how you apply those technologies to real-life business problems, right?
The big news in the Indian IT is about the massive layoffs announced by TCS, which it said was due to skills mismatch and also large-scale deployment of AI and so on. Even NASSCOM in its statement has said that in the near term, we could see some workforce rationalization as the traditional skill sets are re-evaluated. To what extent could jobs be impacted as this shift takes place?
I think what is important to understand is really going back to the core of, as you come out of universities, how do you make sure that what you have learned can be applied in real life, right? So this is why, as NASSCOM, we're putting a very strong emphasis on this deeper and much more strategic collaboration between the academia and the corporates and the government. Because very early on interventions on understanding deep domains, on where technologies like AI or in the future quantum can be applied, is more relevant than just coming out with core technology skills. And this is going back to the point on realignment, repurposing roles, and it goes down to also making sure that people have the right kind of attitude plus skills before they get into problem solving, right?
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.